Ah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me. Sana, what's going on out there? Today is an important day. I'm glad Sana's here. But more importantly, I'm here to talk about X-Men today. I got a guest joining me, a new YouTuber on the scene. Make sure you check out his stuff for sure. We're going to be talking about X-Men. I decided and thought, you know what, this is a good topic to talk about, seeing as how I always get people kind of blowing it up with, what books to get, what characters to look after, things like that. X-Men is a huge run, so you can't really go wrong. I'm hoping to have fun with it in the chat. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to my guest. So yeah, before we bring our guest, I just want to make this announcement. This one's more for Sana. This is a history-changing event. Today I bought my first ever Captain Marvel book. So this is huge news. Captain Marvel is not a title that is in my PC or anything. So today, history was made. So yeah, Sana, I thought maybe you would like to hear that. So there you go. All right. So stop talking about Captain Marvel. We don't need any more Captain Marvel talk. I'm going to bring in my guest, Mr. Justin. What's going on, brother?
How we doing, man? Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Oh, absolutely. Cool. So yeah, we're going to be talking about X-Men today, various topics. We're going to be talking about books to get, books to look out for, characters, favorite covers. I kind of want to touch base on a topic of how there's a few characters that don't even show up in X-Men for the first time, which I think is weird. There's 3 that are pretty iconic characters, and yeah, like they show up in different titles, so it'll be interesting to see where we land in our conversation. But yeah, man, let's start off. So X-Men, do you read X-Men a lot, or?
So when I first started collecting comics, it was strictly just like Batman and Flash. Like I was just tunnel vision. Like I didn't even know Marvel existed. Like obviously I knew, like I loved the X-Men movies with Hugh Jackman and just everything that was done with that route. And I assumed that would transition over to the books, man. But I was so wrong, because I picked up House and Powers. And man, I instantly fell in love. Like I just picked up this new cover of #1, which is the black and white cover, and I was just absolutely blown away. Like I love these so much, and just kind of been going on the hunt. Like today, picked up #10. Was really impressed. Like I actually enjoy reading X-Men, and I never thought that I would, consider myself to branch out to different comic books, but I'm really, really happy that I did. Also picked up Cable. I'm not sure if this intertwines too much, but saw a couple of these covers over here and picked up book 1 and 2. So I'm really excited to try those out tonight as well.
Cable is a character, I think, is lame. Like in my opinion, like I don't like Cable. I mean, I know he shows up in that X-Men stuff and things like that. I was never able to get on the bandwagon for him. When the movie came out, like I had chances left and right to pick up that New Mutants 89, I think it was.
Sure.
Or 87.
Yeah.
His first appearance. I passed it up so many times. I just didn't really believe in it. I mean, I know he's a somewhat popular, I guess, not super popular. He's probably like a C-list celebrity when it comes to comics. Never one to get into. And even like the newer X-Men, like the issue with X-Men, man, is there's so many titles, so many volumes.
They
you have to be so specific when you talk about X-Men. Like if we were talking in a big group, comic related people, I can't just be like, hey man, did you check out X-Men 198? Because there's going to be people be like, all right, well, which one is it? X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Men, the X-Men Blue, X-Men Green. Like there's so many covers, and I think sometimes that's what devalues it when they start doing so many different, not genres, but just so many volumes. You know what I mean? Like just
for sure. I agree. Yeah, I tried to like, I didn't want to kind of just be caught out in left field if you brought up something I didn't understand, but like they branch out so much. Like even in volume 5, which they're doing now with Hickman's run, there's endless cover, like the Fantastic Four, New Mutants, X-Force, this, that. And I'm like, man, where do you even go?
That's for me, man. Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. And I touched on this actually yesterday in my show where we were talking about like Batman and Superman and just how much and how many books there are, and it's just kind of crazy because there's so many volumes. And then I had brought up X-Men, and it's like, man, there's so many. So it's hard sometimes. I think one of the positives in this is there's so many volumes and so many series that there's so many new characters. There's so many origin cameos. So if you're an investor like I am when it comes to comics and picking things up like that, it's really good. And that's what's crazy is because I remember making one of, I think it was my second video, and it was like a top 5 X-Men books to get. And from there on out, man, it was literally like crazy. Like people were messaging me like, hey, you should do another one. Hey, what other books? Hey, what about this one? And it just gets to a point, even when you speculate, it could just be anybody, man. Like people always, they're like, oh, do you think this character will show up? It's like, it's X-Men, probably. Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah, you're right.
It's so hard. But I'm more into like the Uncanny X-Men. My favorite X-Men, like for art and like cover wise, would have to be like the original ones. You know, like the first 20, I think are dope. The first.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think you have a first appearance of Gambit, right? I've seen in your previous videos. Yeah.
Now it depends.
Nice.
It depends because there's people who say it's this
one. Yeah. I've seen a little bit of that one. I know the other one way more. Now, is that the one from the 90s? The one you have?
Well, this is this is supposedly the cameo, but it depends, right? I mean, with everything that's going on with the Batman and Superman and Batman Beyond, and now with Virus, I think it's just a matter of time before people start looking at this book.
Yeah.
They're both made in 1990. This one's in August, I believe, and the other one is in.
That's a good cover, though. That really is.
Oh, I love this cover. The only knock on this cover, man, and you probably wouldn't notice it unless you had it in your collection and you see it all the time, but the dude looks like he's wearing a thong.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the only knock on this cover. That's it. That's the only one. And I'm big on when like a character shows up, I want him to be on the cover. Sure. I don't think that like I have so many copies of this book, man, but like I just don't believe that. Like to me, this is a very mushy and like put together
too much.
Cover, you know what I mean? Like it's not nice. But you know, it is what it is. I like the 266. It's very clean. For sure. But that's a topic that I think, people in the community will probably start to get onto because that's like the new trend now, trying to figure out when a book comes. And that one, I think that one and Hulk 180, 181 is like the two big ones. When you think about it, like the cameos are technically a first appearance. So it's going to be interesting for sure. Speaking of Gambit, one of my favorite characters, do you have certain favorite characters, favorite titles in this run that you collect?
From I haven't touched on Uncanny yet. I want to learn more about it, where to start and stuff like that. Obviously, there's so many books, so I definitely will start eventually. Right now, I do have 1 through 10 on the regular, the 2019 run.
When you said 1 and 10, I thought original. I'm like, holy crap!
Oh no, yeah, dude, I wish, but I was playing around with it. I think a CGC, just a 9.0, they were asking around 19K.
It's insane.
It's phenomenal.
It's so crazy.
I love this one a lot. I mean, I know it's a popular character, but I would probably say Magneto would be my favorite.
Favorite character, right?
Yeah, I mean, and this cover too. I've seen this one slabbed a couple times, and I really love that cover. That was number 8. I mean, I see what they're trying to do. They kind of make Cyclops kind of, mainly the main character. I want to branch out and say I feel like they're trying to push a lot behind him, making Charles, his kind of go-to guy, especially with House and Power. But, I would probably say Magneto. Second would be, I know there's Charles, he's just so always one step ahead of the game. I love the way he thinks and the way that they write him. So those two probably my favorite.
When I got introduced and I met Sana, she had made a good point, and we talked about it. We continue to talk about it from here on out a few times. But the Professor X and the Magneto thing, like when I was growing up, I was just you're automatically you assume that Magneto's the bad guy and this and that. But when you get older and you start realizing like his way and his vision and things like that, you kind of start thinking, okay, wait, is maybe Professor X the bad guy? And it's something that she was talking about with a lot of detail, a lot of depth. And she opened my eyes up to that. And just looking at the characters now, older in my, in my mid 30s, new 30s, I guess. You kind of have that vision where, you're just like, okay, I mean, maybe Magneto was right, but.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely could agree with that after reading House and Power, because there's a point to where like Charles would take it to kind of like a business standpoint, and then like Magneto, which I don't know his real name, I'm sorry, but he will take it to an aggressive like, hey man, if I gotta beat your ass, I'm gonna do it, for the sake of what I need, because he's just been crapped on all of his life. Like all he wants is just what Charles wants, just in a different way. So I could definitely,
and I've always appreciated the respect they have, even though they disagree. I mean, I think it was, I forget what movie, because I feel like there's so many X-Men movies and they should be done a little differently. Yes. But there's that one movie where I think it was Pyro. He was like, "Oh, let's kill Professor X," and Magneto was like, "No, you don't understand," and things like that. So there's always that, mutual respect and things like that. So that's good to see in those characters, because when you think of Magneto, you just think like super badass, like he's gonna crush you kind of thing. Yeah. And me being an Iron Man guy, I wouldn't necessarily want to see Iron Man go up against Magneto, because I don't feel like that would be a fair fight. It wouldn't be fair. So let's stick on the art side of things. Let's talk books here. Is there a cover that you necessarily have as like a favorite? Like, is there an artist in the X-Men run or things like that
coming from DC, I would say some of the shading and some of the pencils is a little bit different for me. I'm used to a little bit of a different artwork. I'm not going to say I dislike it by any means, but some of it is, I think, that a little sloppy sometimes. But I overall, I do like the artwork. I do like what they're doing. That's a badass like little screen tag. I love All Might. That's cool.
There's a lot of people, and I kind of wanted to. I'm surprised no one's wanted to do something like this, where we kind of just compare. Compare the artwork, compare not necessarily the writer, but because it's a different genre. Like, when you see the artwork of like a 1960s, a 1970s, 80s, even the 90s, right? Like you can tell the art is different, the way they use colors and things like that. To now, I like the old way. I like my comic to look old school. I like the bright colors. I like all that stuff. You know what I mean?
One of my favorite books is, I have the first appearance of them both, and I agree with you.
That's so much better to me. I don't know. I don't like that newer style 3D art. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
I like it on some, like the newer ones with the Joker and Punchline. Like, I have this one. I'm doing a giveaway on my channel of Punchline 92.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is a beautiful cover. It's just, it's very modern. And, when I'm reading comics, it just depends on where I'm at. If I want to see something, like, it just depends on the story run, I guess I could say. I mean, I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but I will agree with you. I do like the older stuff.
I've got to say my favorite cover in the X-Men run, if I had to pick three, because the first one is super old, I don't think I'd be, I mean, affordable is different for everybody.
Of course.
I wouldn't mind having a low grade. To me, like, having a low grade, slabbing it is fine with me. I don't really care. But the one, I believe it's number 11. It's the first appearance of the Sentinels. I think it's a badass cover.
Uncanny, right?
Uncanny. Yeah. I think it's 13. But man, I love that cover. The Sentinels used to scare the crap out of me as a little kid. I don't know why. Yeah. Watching that show when I was like, 6, 7 years old, it was like, man, what the hell? So I'm hoping that they can do something not dark necessarily in the future with them, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing like some badass robots. They're like 200 feet tall. Like, make them badass, make them like cool. I think that would be dope.
That is a cool cover.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that is a cool cover. I like that.
I think they try to pay homage to it in Uncanny X-Men 141. I think that's the one with Days of Future Past.
Okay.
They try to kind of make it look similar. There's like a Sentinel. He's like blasting Wolverine and things like that. I mean, I don't know if it's homage or not, but it comes at an important storyline, right? Because they did take 41, 42 as the storyline for the movie, right? So
okay.
it's pretty dope. Do you have necessarily like a book in the X-Men run, like early X-Men run, that you like want to have, like you want to buy? Is there like books that are on your list?
There's a couple Cyclops books, and just because once again, I do admire his character, but I would say Magneto would be my favorite if I had to. There is this. I didn't do the numbers, just scrolling through, but there is a couple Cyclops books that I really did like. I'll get you those numbers when we start, when we message again. But yeah, some of the artwork I was really, really impressed with. Definitely an Uncanny. Yeah.
In Uncanny, yeah. Usually they start showing them off around like what, like the early stuff or the like later stuff? Because in the early stuff, they all have the same suit, right? It's like
yeah.
Let
me find it really quick. But yeah, I mean, I just really loved, because I've been so used to something else, switching it up, and even there's a couple newer ones like Uncanny. Like here, I don't know if I can pull it out. I can try to, but there's one where the Cyclops, there's like a bunch of different Cyclopses, and he's on the top.
Yes,
he's like, it's like building up. I love that cover a lot. Yeah. Like that one's really, really cool. There's a couple more. Let me see if I can find it. There was a couple X-Men number 43. I really liked that cover, and that one's kind of that one's when when they're battling Magneto, number 43, and that one's like it's I don't think it's a giant cover. No, it's just a standard one, but that one's pretty expensive too. That one's around like a bad cover would be like $600.
Man, I'm surprised at some of the prices sometimes. Like, for the most part, like when you say, like, for example, right, when you were talking like Spider-Man, everyone will tell you, hey man, if you have 150 or under, like an issue from 1 to 150, they're money makers, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's more issues after that and things like that. In X-Men, you can't really do that because I mean, like the first 25, they're worth money. But then you have to kind of like you skip through and you go to like, Kazar, Sunfire, Havoc, like they're all spread out, and that just goes back to the fact that like there's so many goddamn books,
Yeah, and that's what I mean, they're kind of, saturating the market almost. I agree with you. There's so many different books, so it's hard to just which way can you go, because it's like, okay, I want to start collecting this, but all these books are doing so much better, and then like it just starts jumping in random ways. And
we went to a shop probably like 3 weeks ago, me and Key Issue, and it was amazing because they had like all the pulls, like they had like these tables with all the books, and they were alphabetical, and like every single one of them, like one table had like A, B, C. And then you look at the back and it's all X-Men, and it's like X-Men Blue, X-Men this, X-Men this. You're looking at it, you're like, man, I've never heard of any of these titles. Like X-Men Blue, I have no idea what that is. I've never seen it. There was another one. I don't know if it was X-Men Black or something, but they're just so much, right? That you're just like, all right, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I was trying to learn about that too. I was like, damn, like, I don't even know where to freaking begin to try and learn like exactly where it's like, okay, X-Men started in 1963. That's all I got. Like, I don't, it's just, they keep going and keep going. But they did saturate the market, and I agree with you 100% on that. But
before we continue, I just want to acknowledge the chat. Avengers Endgame, gold medal. What's going on, brother? Keys, my brother, silver, and Sana, bronze. Everyone else, thanks for coming. Pickle Joe, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you being here. Joe is actually going to be on my show again. We are talking about doing a auction, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Be cool.
Thomas, what's going on? Thank you for joining us. It's mostly Sana and Keys just going back at each other here. Carlito, what's going on, brother? Thank you for joining me. AJ, one of the coolest guys in the community. Dun, 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 dun. Hey. Austin, thank you for joining. And guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys sub to one another. I mean, you guys all see each other in the chats and things like that. It's never a bad idea to support. You never know.
Yeah, let's
putting out more content, and some people might be putting out auctions or things like that. So it's always good to build it. Rob, what's going on, brother? Yidu, I hope I pronounced that right. I really do. Yeah, so thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, we're talking X-Men. Zen World, what's going on, brother? Zen World is another one that's going to be on the auction, so it's going to be a fun time. Again, I know a lot. Go check him out. Go check everyone in the chat. Go check everyone. It's really good channels all around. Phil, what's going on, brother? And Lone Star. So we got a few people in here. So we were just talking about X-Men. We were talking about some covers. We were talking about some runs. We had just talked about, Gambit being on 266 wearing a thong. We were talking about the artwork and some covers, things like that. How the X-Men run is really crazy. There's so many books. Let's get down to something that I kind of want to talk about. Because I think the chat will probably get more involved, and I might have missed something. But there's three characters. There's iconic characters in the X-Men run that are not. They don't have a first appearance in their run, and I always thought that was a little interesting. So the three characters are Rogue, who shows up in Avengers Annual 10. Gray. I mean, you could say Beast, but yes, he's Gray. But at the same time, Beast shows up in his own title. He doesn't necessarily show up in X-Men. I know they say it's Gray Beast and whatever, but right. I mean, technically the character did start solo. And then you have Sabretooth. Like Sabretooth started off in Iron Fist, right? So what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you a fan of when like a character, it's like if like War Machine started off in like say Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird.
Maybe because like, I'll tie it back into this, and I know it'll be a little bit weird, but maybe it's because the same reason we see so many Batman movies is because, now I'm not saying that these three characters that you mentioned aren't as popular, because they definitely are, but maybe it's because they fear maybe they can't get enough traction behind those characters to start off different books, to do different things. Now, I know I'm super ignorant compared to, different titles and stuff like that, but maybe it's just because like they're afraid of different characters or different runs or different things just flopping, and maybe like they just don't want to see that happen to these characters. So that's maybe why they keep them in these certain spots, so they know that they're good, sideshows or good little cover, fill-ins and stuff like that. So maybe they're scared to flop.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when you start talking, like especially for Rogue, like that was my comic cartoon crush growing up.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think, growing up as a 7-8-year-old boy watching that, I mean, you got this girl in this tight green yellow suit. I mean, she's done like pretty,
Yeah. Oh,
for sure. Like, like the way they do her. So like she was my crush. And I'm telling you, like, it's weird because when you start talking to collectors and you start, or just newer people, not necessarily the more experienced ones, but they're always like, hey, what's the first appearance of Rogue? What X-Men book? And when I am always like, oh, it's Avengers Annual 10. Like people just get like, no, but she's an X-Men.
Why do you know that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, but she comes from this book. And they're like, yes, so why are you not Avengers? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird.
Trying to get into their head is just weird. You'd think you'd know which way that they want to go, but it's weird.
Keon is saying Burke is in the house, but I do not see him. So if I missed him, I apologize, Burke.
Yeah, that dude's cool.
Yeah, Burke's helped me out a lot. He there he is. Okay, so just making sure. Yeah, because I don't want to miss anybody, especially Burke. Burke's helped me out a lot. He's when I first started my journey, he I think my girlfriend thought I was texting some random girl because, we were always on and off talking, texting. So, if Burke's here, cool. Burke. He had some great announcements, so make sure you check out his page. And guys, he's only 7 people away from, I believe, 1,200. That was like an hour ago. So definitely make sure you sub up to him and check him out. He just got, I don't know if it's a sponsorship or something, like they're doing something Power Rangers related. He's a big Power Rangers guy, so perfect guy to go. But yeah, definitely check his channel out. Yeah, of course I do. Well, I mean, if they get the right actress to play Rogue, I think that's going to be dope.
Who would you want to see do it?
I mean, I would love to see Scarlett Johansson, just because if they put anybody in a tight green yellow suit, I think she would look great in it. But to be honest, I think they're just going to go brand new. That's actually another question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
watching the movies and things like that, like my mind is just recast everybody.
Absolutely.
Like, recast everybody. Don't bring anybody back except one. There's one exception. I think they could keep the Storm. Like the girl that played Storm, I think they could keep her.
I agree with that. I could even I think it'd be awesome if you could tie in maybe, now I know, Logan ended it, but if maybe like 1 or 2 movies down the road, you see like an old man Logan come into the screen with Hugh Jackman. I think if they tied that in, because I know that they time hop a lot in House of Power. And so, I mean, if they tried to do that, I would just be blown away. So if they,
I think there's 2 things I want to see in X-Men movies from the comic book standpoint. I want to see, or maybe 3. Okay. Well, let's start with 1 first. Sure. I want to see an iconic, badass scene. It doesn't have to be a movie because obviously they can't hold the whole movie. But I want to see Wolverine go up against Hulk. I really want to see that. Yeah. I want to see Wolverine go up against Sabretooth, but in a badass way, not like the one from the first one. Yeah. And the other thing is kind of more newer-ish, I guess, compared to those 2 events. But I would love to see Wolverine and Deadpool, like those 3 events or those 3.
I think we'll get that one.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
It's going to be interesting, though, because I don't think Hugh Jackman's coming. And I know a lot of people are like, no, he's coming. He'll come back if they do it. I don't think so. And the other person that they got, who they had in their sights to do it, was Tom Hardy. People forget that they were kind of thinking about doing Tom Hardy. But now with him being Venom, I mean, I don't think that it's a character. So it's going to be interesting to see who they also get to play the role. I think they're going to run into that problem. And I've talked about this like a few times. I think they're going to run into the problem where, like Joker, like when people found out it was Heath Ledger, even before, people watched the movie and stuff like that, it didn't matter. Like they could have said Tom Hanks, they could have said, Nelson Mandela, and they would have still put the guy on a cross and just bash how it's terrible, right? Yeah. And I think that's what's going to happen here. No matter who they get to play Wolverine, I think that's what's going to happen until the character plays, and then people are going to make their judgments. But
sure,
at this point, you could say anybody, and no one's going to say anything good. They're just going to be like, no, there's no way. There's no way.
And I think a lot of that's just to show respect to what Jackman did. It's kind of like pulling RDJ from Iron Man, like, I bet Tom Cruise could have done just a good job, which we all know that would never be possible. Like RDJ was born to play that role.
Tom Cruise, man, like. Here's my beef, and it's not beef.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm saying this properly because I'm talking about 2 actors here, but not that I hate, because it is a good thing. It just goes to like their quality, you know what I mean? Like how good they are as actors. But I hate how like when a role comes up and they're like, oh, Tom Cruise. Oh no, okay, Keanu Reeves. It's like, why are those always just the 2 go-to guys for everything? Like,
yeah, that is a tricky one. I think we're at an age where all those actors are starting to play like, all right, now it's time to start, like you said, like recast young crew. Like the next movie that we see of X-Men, like they did it with Batman. They picked a younger version, Robert Pattinson. But when you look at him, I think they made a really smart choice because he looks just like Christian Bale. He really kind of does. If he puts on the right weight and does it the right way, that can be a good movie. So I think we're at that age and at that time where we will start to see recasting for sure. Different ages and different age groups. I mean, you have to have the attraction to comics from somewhere.
Yeah, and I kind of want them to make it right. Like, Yudo here says, whoever plays Wolverine needs to be 5'3" maximum. Yeah, I agree. Like most people think that Wolverine is this like jack, tall, super dude. Like, he's not. He's this hairy jerk. Relentless, short, hairy guy. So, I mean, Danny DeVito might be pushing it.
Do it.
But we'll see. Fassbender is a great Magneto, and I hope that that's the only one that they keep because that would be dope. He plays a really good role. I like when he plays it. They should introduce the multiverse for Spidey people and X-Men and all that so we can say it's all happening on Earth. They just don't know what Earth. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Like we don't know what Earth. And I think that's kind of one of the beauties, but it's also a negative because moving forward, we're going to be going into, say, a movie.
Yeah.
and we kind of saw it in Spider-Man, the one with Mysterio, right, where he basically can just come and be like, hey guys, I'm from this planet, and he kind of just tricked everybody.
Yeah,
I feel like any character could do that moving forward, and we're just going to be like, all right, well, is it true? Is it not true?
I was blown away by that movie. I know it got a lot of hate, but I thought they did pretty well. I really did. I mean, I know.
I didn't see it 3 times. Like after the third one, I'm like, you know what?
Okay.
Yeah. The first two, I was like, the first one, I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And they had Iron Man in it, so I mean, I can't be bad in it. But yeah, it was interesting. I think it was the right time to bring Mysterio, just because where technology is and things like that. But
for sure.
But yeah, I definitely agree with Burke, bringing in Spidey and X-Men and all that.
Yeah,
we already have the Avengers. We know that they're bringing Fantastic Four. These are comic books that have huge runs, a lot of characters they can play with, and that's one of the beauties about X-Men. Like there's just so many characters.
Yeah,
there's so many that like there's
almost too many.
Yeah, but like I was trying to get like. There's a lot of books that are in like the 200 range, and you don't see that a lot in a lot of runs. You know what I mean? Like you do see it in Spider-Man, you do see some in Batman, but I think X-Men has so many. Fantastic Four, same thing.
Sure.
But yeah, just some of the ones, and I'm going to give a short list here of some of the ones that I think people should be on the lookout for. If you haven't checked out my giveaway, 2 of the books are on this list. But
it's a good giveaway.
Yeah, here's some of the books you should be on the lookout for. X-Men 221, Mr. Sinister. I think that character I think he could be their saving grace in the sense of a villain. A lot of people have heard me say this over and over. I feel like he can continue on, and you can have him in that Thanos role. I put this next book, and I'm contradicting myself from yesterday, but X-Men Annual 4 and 5. Now, these are the first appearances of Omega Red and the second appearance. I love the artwork on the second one. I think it's badass. I like it more than the first. This is a character I don't think necessarily we will see more than once, unfortunately. But who knows, right? I mean, it's all speculation. It's all who knows. None of us work at Marvel, so we don't know. Of course, I got to talk about Gambit books. I mean, 266. That's a hot book. Once he drops, I mean, for people right now who tell me all the time, like I picked up that book, I think for like $170 Canadian, $170 Canadian.
Non-slabbed or what?
No, it was slabbed. It was slabbed already.
That's
and they're selling basically for like $340 Canadian now. So I mean, it's almost at a doubling point. But once the character drops, it's going to be a marketable character. I would not be surprised if this is a $450, $600 book, especially in a 9.6.
Yeah.
Even the X-Men Annual 14, which is the cameo, CGC makes it. So if you're in the chat and you think, no, that's the first appearance, hey, take it up with CGC. It's not me. I'm just telling you. I'm just reading the words on the labels. I think that book you should get, especially if you're getting 266, pair them up. That book is cheap as hell. You can get a good copy, basically raw 9.4, 9.6 for about $50 to $60 Canadian, which is pretty cheap.
That's not bad.
Once you slab it, I mean, you're at 105, 110 around that area. But I mean, again, once the character hits, if you have both books or just the one, you're looking at easily a $200 book because it's a character that's popular and he's going to be, it's going to be continuous. Like he's going to be on the team. It's going to be someone that we see. If Rogue is coming, you can bet Gambit is coming. I always preach, if you're buying the Gambit book, buy the Rogue book. They're going to bring both of them together. They're going to have that, flirtatious relationship and things like that. And it's marketable. If you talk to any people who watch the 90s X-Men, everybody's saying, bring Gambit, bring Rogue. I'm not a big believer in Jubilee. I don't know about you.
To be honest, I don't know too much about that character. I know who it is, but I don't know a lot.
I mean, a lot of people are on that character, on that book. I've had multiple people say, hey, man, you better pick this book up. Jubilee, I believe, is 248. No, 244. 244. That's the first Jubilee. It's the yellow cover. It's not a bad cover. I think the name of the cover is like Women in X-Men or something like that. it's a dope cover. I just don't think that character will be as popular as people think. I remember the book was like $20, and then it skyrocketed. I think like a graded nice copy is like somewhere in between 100, 120. Now, guys, these are Canadian prices. I know there's a lot of Americans in here, so just be careful. Like when I say numbers, I'm only speaking on Canadian numbers. I don't have a calculator or conversion right now in front of me. But yeah, it's crazy. I found a copy of 266 for like $18 raw, kind of beaten up, maybe like a 6-7. Hey man, if you got it for $18 and it costs, I mean, I know here in Canada it costs $45 to grade. If you're looking at that, and you want to have the book, if you're a fan of it, why not grade it, slab it? I mean, you might make some profit once the character drops. Those mid-grade ones, there's always people that are going to buy it. There's a lot of Gambit fans, so you never know. If you're looking at more cheaper end, like I always say affordable. I don't like to say cheaper end. I like to say affordable because everyone has a different opinion of what affordable is. I would recommend grabbing, like, say, your X-Men that, like in any run, right? Like grab a first appearance, grab a cameo that is cheap. So, or affordable, sorry. So you have, like Bishop, 282, 283. Even Sinister. Like I picked up my Sinisters for like $10, I think.
That's not so primarily where do you buy your books?
I go all over, man. Like I'm online, I go to shops. There's a lot of guys. There's a guy who he's a buddy of ours, me and Keon. He has a knack for basically just finding all these collectors. So we're able to go to see a lot of collections and things like that. Sometimes we luck out, sometimes it's not. If you see my video, night and day of two collections I went to go see, right? So there is a lot of people who have collections. You just got to luck out. But yeah, I try to use eBay as my kind of like my bookmark for what a book should go for, what a book should sell for, what I should buy it for. Yeah. And then I kind of work my way like that. I mean, it sucks because a lot of people are like, well, eBay's not really the most accurate. But at the same time, like when you talk to 90% of people who are selling books, they're going to say, like, I always get this where people are like, well, dude, here, like look on eBay. And then they give me a picture of like the last 3 sales. And it's like, all right, well, like if that's what you want, like I could just go on eBay myself. Like I'm not, at least I can work out a deal. So it's things like that. And
most people too, like I know I've done this a couple times where, somebody will kind of just try and level out the market a little bit. They'll just have this one book that's like $300 or $200. It'll just all be a little bit of everywhere. And if you private message these people, most of them are willing to work with you too. Now, I don't do it too much just because I don't want to be that guy. But sometimes if I see a book that I just really can't live without, and I, definitely don't want to go into debt. Like that's something I'm trying to, practice and, like, hey, making the hobby, pay for itself. If you can get to that point to where you're buying books and looking at it from that standpoint, and if that's what you want to do, that's cool. So yeah, I use eBay maybe like 40-30%, but there's not too many shops in my area, to be honest.
Where are you located again?
Houston, in the Texas area. Yeah.
There's not a lot of shops?
Well, in my area, at least. The lower part. Like there's a bunch upper, like in actual Houston, but I mean, you're talking, a little over an hour drive. Now, that's something I don't mind doing, but I wish I could do it more, but it's not something that I can.
It's a big city, man. I think, and I'm a geography like nerd too. Sure. I think Houston is the 4th or 5th largest city in the U.S. So
I think we should have moved into the 3rd. If not, we're the 4th.
Yeah, I think it's like New York, LA, Philadelphia, Houston, and a lot of people don't really know that. So just a little fun fact there for you. Yeah, Houston is crazy. Houston is crazy. I've only flown past there, but it's crazy. I'm not a fan of the Astros. Just want to say that right now.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I saw your Instagram.
But I have a Yudo, and again, I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I know the feeling. People butcher my name all the time, but this is kind of cool. Jubilee is a sentimental favorite for me. First Asian American. That is so cool, man. Cool. Just because, I know the feeling. I know as a Latino man, there wasn't that many characters. Now with we have and I say we, I mean, it is what it is. People say that, but Miles Morales is Latino. You have Anya Corazon, which is the another Latino. I think she's more Mexican, but still speaks Spanish, so she's on the team for now. It's nice to see the diversity in characters, but that's the thing with X-Men too, right? Like there's so many characters, and even in that show, they had African American, white, Asian, things like that. It was good diversity on that show.
A lot of diversity, and that's what comics needs too. It's just like showing that like we're all human, man. It doesn't matter. It's just like enjoy the culture of comics together. That's really what it's about. I think that's a lot of fun. Yeah. I mean, like if they still like, I'll show it again. Or no, let me show you my number 6s for House and Power. Like if they keep making covers like this and like having fun with it, like, dude, that's going to be so awesome.
Yeah. That's
like
dope.
If they can really do that, like I've been really impressed with X-Men. I really have. I never thought I would say that. And it's not because I bashed them or anything like that. It's just, I just never gave it a chance.
Yeah. And you're a DC guy. So like it wouldn't, it's like if I were to go into the DC, like sometimes I get asked to go and join some DC conversations and I'm flat out, like if I don't know something, I'm going to be very honest with it because it's going to show. Like if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, it's going to show. So I always say, it's different. It is different when you talk to a guy who's basically all DC and you go into Marvel. Like not just those petty conversations like, no, my character's better. No, my character's better. It's just like just the writing style, the story style, the villains, everything like that. Yeah. It's just different. And you just kind of have to be careful. There's a few people that just showed up. Hey, Jeff, what's going on, brother? Jeff is from Chicago. Always showing some love.
Never been. Would like to go one day.
Yeah, Chicago is amazing. You know what? I found out when I was talking to Burke, actually. It's funny because I know a lot of Americans don't really travel a lot in the U.S. And like me, I've been like so many places in the U.S. Like it's crazy.
No, I've been to Mexico. I've been a little bit here and there, but I mean, I've only been kind of to the states that neighbor Texas right above. Now I've been to a little bit farther, but man, I've just been focusing on school so much. But traveling is definitely.
I went so like I've been all over. I'm located in a city that's about 20 minutes from the U.S. border. So, So we usually go when the borders were open. We would always find ourselves in Buffalo. Buffalo's got a lot of shops, really good shops.
I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
Compared to where we are here, because we only have 3 shops. It's tough, right? Because here the market is so limited, I think.
Sure.
And some other people might think differently, but it is limited. I love going to the U.S. to buy books. I was kind of at a love-hate relationship with comics when I went to San Francisco and San Diego, actually, about 3 years ago. Okay. And I regret not going to any of the shops. Like I made it my mission. I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to enjoy my vacation. I'm not going to do anything comic related. Damn. And I remember like coming home on the plane. I was like, God damn it. I should have went to at least a shop or something. Like it was just, one of those things, man. But
have you been to Midtown Comics or is that too far? I mean,
so New York, so Manhattan and all that stuff, that's 45 minutes in a plane away. Okay. And it's usually about $100, $150 to get to New York. It's an 8-hour drive.
Okay. Wow.
So I've been to New York. I'm a Rangers and Yankees fan, so I've been to New York like 8 times, I think. But that's something I got to go see. I want to see that New York kind of lifestyle of the comics, things like that. Like I said, I'm kind of pissed that I didn't go to San Fran or San Diego to like any of the shops because
you'll have more opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah. But hopefully I don't have to quarantine like 2 weeks before, things like that. So
it's crazy.
Let's get back. Speaking of the quarantine, and let's get back to the X-Men. But are you finding that it's harder for you to find books or like buy books, get books, things like that because of the COVID and things like that, or no?
So my shop that I primarily go to, I get a lot of my books from there, or a lot of online, like a lot of my older Flash books, I will get them brought from Houston, sent to the local area that I go. So I went like 20, 25, 30 minutes away towards Houston. I found this one, just a small shop building, and there was an actual 266 Uncanny First Appearance of Gambit. And I was thinking, I was like, you know what? Okay, everybody's hurting a little bit. Maybe, prices will be a little bit better. Like, we'll see what's going on there. So I roll up. I want to see what's going on. And I asked them, hey, what's the best price you can do on this? He would not budge. And it was, I think, a 9.2, maybe a 9.4. He would not budge from $340 on 266. I was like, man, there's no way. Now, I'm not bad mouthing it, but there's no way you're making like crazy good money right now when people aren't even coming outside to buy comics. Like,
I think the pandemic is hurt.
Yeah.
Is hurt the market in the sense in the comic world, because you have so many comics that like I don't understand. Like, I'm interested to see what the market will look like once everything is over and back to quote unquote, like normal life.
Sure.
Whatever that looks like.
That's going to be weird.
I think the value on certain books is crazy. And I think the thing that hurts it too is, you hear a rumor, and let's face it, like with social media, the way it is, YouTube channels and things like that, I'm not knocking anybody, but you can have people come on here or say a rumor, or, people that are on sets of stuff. And they're like, hey, I saw a blue jacket. This person was wearing a blue jacket, so that must mean he's Cyclops. And then people are like, oh, Cyclops. And then everybody just buys Cyclops. And it doesn't matter what it is, but people just buy Cyclops and they drive up. And especially now, where like I don't want to say most, but there's a lot of people that aren't working. So, they're so crazy, and they're buying books that they might not necessarily be able to afford, but they're like, hey, I have this money coming in. Why not? Things like that. So,
and that's what sucks too, because I don't want anybody to ever feel like, oh man, like just because there's a little bit of a bubble as far as comics. Like, I know right now, the character with Venom, Null, like I didn't buy anything Venom, and I was really mad, like, especially after seeing. Now, I'm not a huge Venom fan. I like the character. I like Spider-Man. I'm very interested for the new Spider-Man run that was supposed to happen in June, Nonstop, I think it is.
Yeah,
so I'm interested. I'll definitely pick that up. I'm going to give that a try because I'm interested. But and I just got a couple days ago. It isn't the original. It's the reprint of the first appearance of his black suit. So I'm really excited. I got that. But I mean, you don't have to go in debt for comic books. Like it should not and should never be an expensive hobby unless you're just looking to collect. Like when I first started getting into it and I like really loved comics, like I put myself in a little bit of debt and I really regretted it because I was like, damn, like this is yes, this is history. This is a good hobby. I really enjoy it. It's relaxing, but man, like there's really just no need. It's just so much fun. For just like this book only cost me $4. Like it shouldn't have to cost anything more than that. Like I don't need to get this slab. You don't need to do this. And
I think the crazy thing is, like, I know a lot of people when they first get into this hobby. I'm speaking on personal experience here because I have somebody who just got into the hobby.
Okay,
and it's almost like he's only looking to flip and things like that. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, don't go broke doing this. Like, don't just buy a book expecting it to flip or things like that. Comics are not like most things, especially the older stuff, silver, even some bronze stuff, right? You have to sit on it. It's a long-term game. Are there books that you can make quick money off on a comic book day? Like you see it all the time now. Like I know I go to my shop at like 11 a.m., 12, and I pick up my books, and then I get home and I'm just checking eBay just for fun. And like people are already, like $60, $70 for a book I just paid $5 for.
Oh, dude, like I
find that X-Men though, like going back to that rumor stuff, it's like you look at some of the X-Men books, man, they're like 100 plus, 200 plus. Like it's crazy to me. And like some of them are just unreal. Like, and that's the issue with X-Men because there's so many characters that someone just says one thing and it's like, oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like 120, 121, 129, 53, 54, 64, even the 100, the new team versus the old team. Like all these are possible characters we see, possible events, and it's just like unreal what they go for.
Yeah.
The other issue I was going to say with X-Men too is, and it's no knock against Canada. I live here. But with X-Men, you have to be careful because there's, the Spidey logo, right? Like you got the Spidey logo.
Yeah.
And then you have the barcode. But then you have to be careful because there are some Canadian variants. X-Men has a lot of Canadian variants that you have to be able to
know that.
Yeah. So sometimes people get tricked. And I say that because there was, or even I always butcher this word. It's FACIMILE, like the Fashil or whatever. Like they basically get a copy of a book that's hot. So like, for example, I know that it's this one because this is the book I'm talking. So this is the original, but like it's like a fake one. So people can buy a book that looks like this, but it has a huge barcode here.
Oh, okay.
They're only $5, and I saw 2 of them sold for like $80 on eBay, and that's just like, to me, it's like, oh, that's somebody who's new who has no idea what's going on, and they run into those problems where they buy those or they buy the Canadian variants, and they're not worth as much. So you got, you know, to anybody who's new, especially with the X-Men, you have to be careful about that as well. This is the word right here. Yeah. So I was off by a letter. Boom. Yes. Somebody on eBay paid $85 for a Gambit one. Damn. That's insane to me because it's like $5 all day in my comic book shop.
Because it doesn't, and like the first appearance of Punchline, Hell Risen #3. Like I went to the comic book store. I think it opens at 10, and I got there like probably 10:30. They were completely bought out. And I was like, you know what? You know, from a Batman and DC standpoint, I want the book. I paid $30 for it. Now slabbed, I could probably easily double my money, but it's like, man, like imagine, you know, obviously this is just so funny to think about, but imagine if we could just work together and get the books. Like, I mean, I know that's the hunt of it and having fun, but that would be cool if we didn't have to just jump the price up just to make money off of the books. Like if you could really, you know, from a collector standpoint instead of just a flipping standpoint, because I've flipped some books before and I don't mind saying that, you know, it can be fun. You make the hobby pay for itself. And I think if once people really start to practice that, then you can have a different respect for the collecting and for the hobby itself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, man. I know Carlito had just mentioned he likes the Italian ones. I know a lot of people pick up those. Those are worth some money too. I mean, there's Portuguese ones, there's Mexican ones, there's Spanish, Italian. Sana might correct me if she's still in here. There might be some Dutch ones, but there's a lot of books, especially in the X-Men runs that are they have a few of them, and if you have them in, they're worth some money. Even the UK, I think the UK has them too. I think I have a Mexican one. I almost, when I first started off, actually, and I know this is not X-Men related, but there's the X-Men version for Spider-Verse 2, which is the first appearance of Spider-Gwen.
Okay.
And I almost bought it until somebody was like, man, that's the Mexican one. Like, it's not worth that much. And I was like, oh, dude, thank God. So yeah, with X-Men, you just gotta, you know, you gotta be careful. And there's so many characters. I think it's a positive and a negative because when a character, for example, like Mr. Sinister or Gambit, I mean, you know that those characters are coming and everyone's going after them. So why don't you shift your focus on, say, I don't know, just an example, you know, Bishop, Omega Red, like there's still cheap copies out there, right? So like there's always ways that you can kind of find your way to a book, and you never know when they're gonna hit, because there's so many of them, right? Like,
right. Yeah, you don't know when they're gonna pop. Yeah. So you said something interesting of, you know, when those Gambit and Rogue books start to come, when do you think we'll see that? You know, when do you think we'll see this burst? I mean,
well, here's the thing, and again, when you talk this, I mean, it's almost like entering a comic book store and being like, "Who's the greatest character ever?" Right? Like, you're gonna get debate after debate.
Sure.
I think personally, they're gonna kind of do the same thing they did with the Avengers, how they bring in people, not necessarily one by one, because X-Men is a team, but I think we're gonna see more origins or like two characters coming together, and then kind of joining and this and that. But I think we're going to see Gambit like super early. I think they'll have, when they first come back on, and we know they're coming, I think we'll see Cyclops, we'll see Storm, we'll see Rogue, possibly because of the fact I think she's coming in Captain Marvel 2. We might see Wolverine. I'm not sure. And then I think that Gambit and Rogue will be those characters that they kind of just meet or they add to the team kind of thing. But I would expect, if not the first movie, probably the second one.
Would you want to see maybe a Netflix or HBO kind of series first, or just movie? Yeah.
Movie.
Okay.
Man, it's iffy. It's iffy. I usually always have a bad taste in my mouth watching shows.
Okay.
There's some that I'm like, why don't you just make it a movie? Like Moon Knight. I hope Moon Knight goes straight to movie. I don't want to see Moon Knight in a show. I really don't.
Okay. Okay.
And that's my personal, preference. I've seen a lot of shows just ruin characters. Like Inhumans, for example. That's a big title. Those are big characters in the comic world, in the Fantastic Run.
Yeah.
They butchered it. They killed it. So, it's hard. I hope things like Moon Knight don't. I hope Gambit goes straight to movie and things like that. I think the argument you can make with Gambit is, will we see him in a solo project like they wanted with Channing Tatum?
Yeah.
Or will it be him joining? At this point, I don't think Gambit will have a solo project. They might do it later on, kind of like they did with Black Panther, right? They introduced him in Civil War, and then he, became super popular. Even though they had the one movie already done, I don't think at the time they had the second one.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to happen where, you're going to get Gambit coming, and then they could probably branch out and do it.
That'd be the safest and smartest way to do it, especially if Marvel's.
In Rogue, personally, I think she's showing up in Captain Marvel too.
Is that just your feeling, or you read a little bit about it?
I've read a little bit, and I just kind of have a feeling because Rogue starts off as a villain. So
I think I read something about that today, or watched a video on that. I think I heard something about that. I'm going to follow that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
I've got my suspicions. I know I've talked to Sana because, again, Sana is Miss Captain Marvel. Addict, that is her person, that is her character. So we kind of, talk back and forth about the character. She, I believe, is on the same train as me, where we think, Rogue is going to fight Captain Marvel and take her powers and things like that.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah. But, it depends. Here is what I was actually going to be talking to. I was going to close off with, X-Men needs a whole decade of movies to build it up properly. Exactly. That's what I was going to talk about. In order to do this right, they can't just say, they can't do the DC thing. And I don't want to offend any DC fans. Hey,
no, Justice League was trash.
Whatever. But when you force these characters to be together, when there isn't that many backstories, where you give me a 2-hour movie and you're giving me a 10-second backstory, like, hey, this is Cyclops. Oh yeah. Or Cyborg. Oh, yeah. He had an accident. He liked football. Boom. It's like, okay.
Recast the Flash.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of need more. But I think in order to do it properly, they have to take their time. You have to look back. Like, people think, like, for whatever reason, I've had this argument with people where they're like, well, man, they brought the Avengers in pretty quick. I'm like,
not really.
Started in 2007.
Yeah. No.
And it ended in 2020. What do you or 2019? Like, what are you talking about? That's 12 years. Right?
They did it. The only one they messed up on was Captain Marvel, bringing her in so late. And I don't so late. Yeah, no. Awesome character, perfect casting. She was beautiful. You were attracted to her character. Like, they did a good job. It's just we needed to see that way sooner because she made sense in the final movie. She was a badass. They even cut her hair and they made her even cooler. But they definitely should have brought her in sooner.
I don't know if there's going to be a third movie. I think at this point they just have 2 slated. I hope Rogue takes care of that. I mean, I don't know if they'll kill her. I do think that they're going to go the Kamala Khan route, to be honest with those powers. So be on the lookout for that. I know there's like a lot of hype with that. That book has seen a bit of spike. Be careful when you get that book too, because there is 2 books that say first appearance or something like that. I can't remember the one that you should be on the lookout for, but it's the one where they're like all circling her or something. It's a weird cover. I'll post it because somebody had asked me about it. They wanted to know if it was the right book. But I think they need to take not their time, but people have to realize if you don't see, like, say, Jubilee or Gambit in the first movie or the second movie, it's gonna happen.
It's coming. Yeah.
Like it will happen, it will come, but people have to realize it's going to take about 10 to 12 years, and then they're going to branch out and they're going to do their own thing. So for the people that think, because even we talked about it at the beginning, right? Where like the early movies weren't that great. Like they
really weren't, and they still made so much money
for what it was when it came out, right? Because that was the first, right? Those were the first ones. So it's like everyone's going to go, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But now with technology and what we expect, I think that we have to, keep in mind, like, hey, let them do their thing. Let them take 10, 12 years and we'll see the characters. I just don't want them to do the DC thing where it's like, boom, here's the team. Now they're going to fight everybody. And it's like, okay.
The beautiful thing about the DC and hey, chill out. The beautiful thing about that is Snyder Cut's coming back and you have a character that can reset things, which is the Flash. So I think once we see Flashpoint, bringing Keaton in is a lovable Batman and messing up what they messed up and restructuring different characters, restructuring the story. I think once we see Snyder Cut and once we see the change after Flashpoint, if they do Flashpoint right, I think that we'll see a really good strand of DC movies. So it just depends on which way they go, but I really think that the Snyder Cut and Flashpoint will save it. But I do agree with you too. I mean, with how much money X-Men Comics has made and how well the first movies did, besides Dark Phoenix, I think, why not? Like the comics did so well. The merchandise does so well.
And they have so much. And I don't know, Justin, if you heard me say this, but it also comes back to marketing. Like Marvel, they're smart. Like look at what they did. And I'm not knocking this character at all. I'm not knocking it. But look at what they were able to do with Captain Marvel. You know what I mean? Sure. Like look at what they were able to do with Guardians of the Galaxy. It is possible. They just have to be marketable. You go back to that 90s X-Men run. You're talking about a lot, like with so many books and so many series and so many characters, you run into this where you have so much to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Juggernaut, Mr. Sinister, Rogue, Gambit, Jubilee, the Sentinels. You can market that. You can make those movies. I hope they do it properly and they're not like, hey, here's the team and we're going to fight this. And then every movie just becomes X-Men verse one villain, and that's it. Like I want the suspense. I want them all to connect. I want all that stuff. Carly brings up a good point here. I think that I don't want to say you're wrong because, it's your opinion, I think that might necessarily have opened the door to say like, hey guys, you know what? Look how successful it was.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do it because there are talks of them doing X-Men versus Avengers and things like that. Secret Wars, the Secret Invasion. Mm-hmm. So with that comes a lot more characters. And you know what? I was sick. I was a critic too when I first found out that they were doing Civil War and all that. I remember being like, how are they going to do that with so many characters?
Yeah, that's a big mashup. Yeah, you're right.
What's up, Stay Puff? John, thanks for joining, guys. So like I think that if anything, that movie has made it better, and especially with an X-Men where you have so many characters that you can say, you know what, we can do this. But again, just don't bring it all in. Like I don't want the first movie to be the whole team. Like give me some origins, bring in some characters, add people to the team. I kind of want to see Colossus done. I'm not really a fan of Colossus. The ones I'm really looking for is Gambit, Rogue, and I hope they bring Iceman in.
That would be so sweet.
That would be dope to me if they replace. I mean, obviously you're gonna have Beast in there and things like that, but get Mystique out, put her on the villain side, if you will. She doesn't need to be on the good team. Bring in Iceman, have Beast, Cyclops, Wolverine, Gambit. Have that 90s nostalgia, or just bring in the originals, from the comics. But Iceman was there, and I personally think he might show up. I could be biased.
That'd be cool. I mean, he's definitely a likable character, so it makes sense, and if Marvel can do anything, like you just said, they can market a good show. I mean, because nobody, I bet there was just a small niche of Garden of the Galaxy character, like fans. And then
nobody knew what that was.
Yeah, nobody.
People are like, how are they doing this? Right? Like, comic, like what? And even when they said like, hey, let's do it, like people were like, why them?
Why?
And what they were able to do with it, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, if Marvel can do anything, they can make they can make the movies and the series work. They put characters in the right place to make it work.
Yeah.
So I mean, with X-Men, it's just a matter of time. We'll see a long series of something, whether it's movies or shows, branch offs. I mean, they just brought the books back, so it'll just take time.
Yeah. And Puff, you came in late. We were talking about it at the beginning of the show about this. Rogue being my cartoon crush. They have to do it way better. And I think they will. They got to get that iconic yellow and green suit as well. So
that'd be awesome.
I want to see Polaris, Q1, Frenzy, Warpath, and I think Bishop has kind of already been in it. Has he had his own thing or been done properly? No. That's a book you can get. I mean, I think the lowest I've seen that book is like $5 somewhere. The highest for near mint raw is probably like $25. That's a book I recommend everyone to go grab because
affordable.
It's affordable. You can grab it. It's a first appearance. It's just one of those books. Grab 283 because usually that one is cheap as well. There you kind of have an issue where like one's a cameo, one's a first full appearance, but 282 is, I think, on the labels of CGC. It says it is the first appearance, but nevertheless, get both of them.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What did he's apparently over 7. Yeah, that's crazy. Agreed. They need 2 years of hinting. So what I'm understanding, and I'm not a Doctor Strange expert.
Yeah.
But what I heard is Doctor Strange will be the gateway to all the mutants, and that's where a lot of people are saying we might actually see some of the X-Men characters. Some, not all, not everybody. I'm just saying, like, you might see 1 or 2 in that Doctor Strange movie.
That'd be interesting. I know the cool thing is, like, if you follow the all the mysteries and which way they could go, is we will probably see another Spider-Man as well. Like, that would be insane. Like, maybe Andrew Garfield or possibly even Toby.
Like, entering what, the X-Men realm?
Possibly, because it's the same director as, I believe, the previous Spider-Man movies. So we might get a real life, this is totally hypothetical, we could possibly get a real Into the Spider-Verse. Now
they were talking about, I think this was like a month ago or something like that. They were talking about bringing in Tobey Maguire to kind of give him like homage or something when they bring in.
I'd pay all the money. I mean, I loved him. I'm not saying Tom Holland's a bad Spider-Man at all. I love what he's done with the character. He's such a good Peter Parker and Spider-Man. He does a really good balance of both. But Tobey Maguire was the first, So like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. And I know this is an X-Men thing, but you brought it up.
Sure.
Let's talk about it. I don't want to be like, no, you know what? Let's save that for a Spider-Man talk.
Sure.
Here's and it's not an issue. It's just when you look at those two Spider-Men.
Yeah.
You look at Tobey Maguire's. The guy was living on his own. He had a job. He had this, like, he was almost like an older. I would put him at like in the 20s. Like kind of that version. Like that's what I was seeing. Where when I watch Tom Holland, I'm kind of seeing like what any of us would be at 16 or 17 in high school if we got bit by a spider. Like, we're living with our parents. I mean, obviously he's living with his aunt. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that aspect of it is cool. Kind of like Shazam, right? Like, people are like, oh, well, it's kind of stupid because it's basically like he acts like a kid. Yeah, he's a freaking kid.
He's a kid,
the same way if we were like 12 years old and we were given superpowers. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I think I really wish they would have given Andrew Garfield a third movie.
I personally liked Andrew Garfield.
Me too. I don't know really where you could say he did poorly. I mean, you can kind of blame Sony for anything if you want, but I think him as a Spider-Man, like, because of what I read about him too, is he dreamed of playing that character literally since like before he could walk.
Yeah. Like,
he cried the first time he put on the suit. So I gained so much respect for him after reading that. So I think that part is really cool. I would love to see a real Into the Spider-Verse. So if they do it, I'm totally in. But yeah, I like Tom Holland. I think they did a good job with him. And I mean, what else would you do if you were in?
And I think it's like, I think it was Burke or Carlito, but they had mentioned if they open up that Spidey-verse and get it into the X-Men, I mean, that would be kind of pretty cool too. Zen World, I got a question for you, brother. With this comment being said, which ones do you think we'll see? I'm kind of interested. I'm thinking maybe Beast. just because of the doctor aspect. Like I think that we might see Beast. I want to say Nightcrawler, but I'm not sure.
It's got to be characters.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, Doctor Strange being all knowledgeable and things like that. You're not going to see Cyclops. I don't think. Like I just think certain ones you're going to see. It's going to open it up. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Mystique if they went that route too.
That'd be sweet. It'll be someone that everybody can relate to without a doubt. Or it'll like, I don't know. I don't want to reach just because
that movie is rated. I think they're saying it's going to be rated R too, right?
I haven't seen anything. I won't.
Like I think when they announced it, like many moons ago, I think they said that movie was going to be rated R.
Actually, I think I did see that on Instagram. I think I really did. Yeah.
Which is going to be surprising because then like what characters are they going to bring? Is Doctor Strange going to be like slicing people's necks and things like that? So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see.
They did a good job on the first one for sure. So we don't know where.
I was skeptical on, man. Like when they announced it, and when I even going to the theater, I was like, I don't know about this one, and it was kind of cool, man. Like the alternate universes and like they're jumping everywhere. I think that was pretty cool.
It was trippy to say the least. They did a very good job.
Yeah,
but yeah.
So we talked about books to grab, covers, characters that don't belong, movies, characters we want to see. Is there anything you want to talk about X-Men related?
No, man. I mean, I definitely I'm reading X-Men. I just finished book 1 last night. I really liked it. Once again, they're making Cyclops the main center, kind of a little bit Boy Scoutish, no disrespect to the character, but I think that they're just trying to lead up to stuff. So I'm interested to read these 10 books and really see where it goes. Definitely glad that I grabbed it. I'm going to give Cable a shot too. Going to read book 1 and 2. So I'm excited. I really am. I'm really glad that I'm branching out. I wanted to, when I started this channel, just learn as much as I could about comics and just branch out as much as I could. So that's
you've only been doing this, like the YouTube stuff. How long?
Man, I think this is maybe my second month. So I've had some slow traction, like I'm truly not in it for the subs. Like I'm not trying to like be number one or like the best, YouTube.
You don't want like a coffee mug with like your logo on it or anything?
Hell, if it happens, if people think I can do it, then I'll do it. But I mean, this is truly just to meet, like, like me and you just chatting. Like that's what this was about, just to have fun.
And honestly, that's one of the reasons that I did it was, COVID hit and it was just like, man,
why not?
Why not? Like it's literally, when you get over the whole, like looking into a camera or looking into a laptop, like super quick, it's almost become the norm of how you talk to people. So if people want to talk about comics all day long, hey, I'm in it. So
I did a job interview like that. And I was like, man, this is so weird. I never thought that I would do something like this. It was weird.
Let's see here. So we'll mess things up in the show and Doctor Strange in his movie along with her. We'll see just glimpses into another Earth with a girl lifting things. Okay.
That'd be sweet. Yeah. Like a little after the credits type thing.
Yeah. It's cool. So, guys, make sure you guys sub up to Justin. He just started. He's got a few things up his sleeve. Do you drop content like on a regular basis? Like, do you have a date kind of thing?
Wednesday and Fridays, like I mix it up here and there. Just, some like last night I just dropped a weird video. I was inspired, wanted to share my goals and stuff like that. And then I wanted to, because I didn't realize how many copies I had. Once I hit 75 subs, which I'm pretty close, I'll, probably by the end of the week or something like that, I'll take care of this one for shipping. It's a beautiful cover, 92. Yeah, never touched.
Well, that is a giveaway for 75. Perfect.
75. Yeah, I think I'm at 50. So that's a good number.
Hopefully we're able to sub you up and
thank you.
I always recommend doing that. So guys, with that said, we're kind of getting into the hour 15 mark here. We had a lot of fun. Again, thank you to the chat. You guys always have a lot of good things to say. Zen World, we will talk because I love that. Yeah, the no more mutant thing. I think that is. I was actually talking about that. So we'll link up and talk about that. But yeah, guys, make sure you sub Justin. Make sure you sub me if you're new to the channel. Obviously, yes. I know most of you. We both have giveaways going. I think I'm about 19 away from giving my 2 books out. Justin's about 20 from his. Just make sure you check out the content. I might have something on my end dropping maybe Saturday, but be on the lookout for that. It's kind of up in the air right now. I also do want to say, if you weren't in the show yesterday, I did announce that My Tuesday show is going to move from 7:30 to 7, and then at 9 we will be doing a speculation show with Dollar Bill, one of the best speculators. He is a genius. He's very knowledgeable, one of the good dudes in the community. He has asked to do something and partner up, so I'm definitely excited for that. And I have an auction coming up. Probably, I believe the date is set for August 8th, so make sure you guys check that out. Pickle Joe, Zen World, Comic Dad, Iron Dad. If I butchered his name, I'm so sorry. But yeah, those 3 guys are going to be joining me. So a lot of good things coming. So with that said, guys, we are out. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope we helped some X-Men answers and questions. All right, guys. Thank you.
Have a good night.